Well, maybe it's not first and foremost because we've begun this, but I think we've begun it in a good way, in a way of love, is I want to acknowledge the land that we stand on and the water that nurtures the land, in the sky that nurtures the water, in the wind that brings it all together. And that is to all of my relations. Even the ancestors of the Cree would not say, it's not just the Cree. They didn't have the borders that we have nowadays. All of my relations. And then I want to say all of our relations. These are your relations too. There's no homogenous people left on this planet. Let's get real. All of our relations. Thank you. It's going to be a tough talk, or rather conversation. That's what I hope to have with you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to speak at you. I want us to have a conversation. So anything I say that you agree with in your own way, you can say, aho, amen, whatever, power to the people, you name it. Because I'm listening as much as I'm talking. I have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And I'm feeling what you're feeling. And I want to feel it more. So do that for me and keep me on task. If this were a speech, I would call it, things are usually not as they appear or as they seem. Have a look at me. Have a listen to me. Feel me. And acknowledge within your mind's eye what you think you see, what you think you hear, what you think you feel, what you think you know about me, representing you. Because I know all of us could be up here telling an equally important story. What you might think you see is a black man. What you think you might see, if you're a little more enlightened, is an Afro-Canadian man. Thank you. I am a little more than just color. For those of you who are really perceptive, you may see an indigenous man. Not an aboriginal, which means not normal. Indigenous Canadian man. And that's exactly who I am. And if you can really take the time to get to know me, you would know that I'm also a European man. British and Scottish. And what the heck is that all about? I grew up a Negro in the 60s, embraced the spirit of black power. Yeah, that was something. I went from being a Negro to black power. We were doing something really special. But I came into an awareness because of one of my relatives did a research on our people and came to realize, beyond knowing that we were 5th generation Canadians, black Canadians, and that we were a hybrid people of First Nations and black Canadians, because we needed one another to survive. When my ancestors on the plantation first left the plantations, they were led away by First Nations people. Who else could have led them on the Underground Railroad? Whites were given the credit for it, and they did wonderful things. The Mennonites, safe houses. But who led them to those safe houses? The currency was First Nations people. And we didn't just go right to those safe houses as we came north. We intermarried with those people, and we fought the battles of anti-slavery together, because the First Nations had to be enslaved first. That's the fact of the matter. We were the second wave of slaves. And what he found out was that our ancestors, our African ancestors, Hannibal and Jubil, came from West Africa, as most of the slaves in North America came from. And when their child, my great-great-grandfather John Freeman Walls, was born, the slave master's son was born, Daniel Walls. But his mother died. So my great-great-great-grandmother nursed my great-grandfather on one breast and him on the other. And when those two little white boys and black boys grew up together on the plantation, they used to play slave and master. That's how close they were, because my great-great-grandfather was a builder, so he was really close. Let me draw it to a close. When that little boy became master, him and John Jr. were still really good friends. And this was around the 1850s. And Daniel took sick and willed his wife, Jane King, my great-great-grandmother, red-headed Jane King, to my great-great-grandfather, an African man. And they fled to Detroit, him posing as her slave. Fought off wolves and everything else, slave hunters. They married in Detroit, Detroit, just north of where I am, north of where I live, in Windsor, Ontario. And she came with her British children, and then they had children together. And black and white didn't make gray. I'm not gray. Get that? So what you think you see does not always match up with reality. And what we think we see in Canada as justice, as equality, is not how it is. What we think we see as Canadians looking over at the United States and aghast, we ought not to. Let's have an internal look. It's not a speech, but I have some speaking points so I don't get off topic. Next thing I want to address is oneness. I see my sister Paulina here. Is she going to be speaking? Because I was going to base my talk on the medicine wheel, but I won't do that. I think there's an Indigenous speaker following me too, my sister. Good. But I will say this about the medicine wheel. Most of us recognize the colors of the four winds. To the east, the yellow. To the south, the red. To the west, the black. And to the north, the white. Yes, they do represent our ethnicities that happen to correspond with tones of our colors. I know 3 of my ethnicities, and I described them to you. I do not know the Asian one that some would refer to as the yellow race in spirit. In order for me to be complete as a person, I need to know more about that. What you don't know about those 4 directions in your life, you need to get to know. So this young man, I'm gonna call him a young man, although he's very studious. He's a professor at Keanu. I'll call you out. And I'm a teacher at Composite High School teacher. I'm learning from him about my Asian people. 21 years he spent over in Korea. Had a book written by a colleague called No Couches in Korea, because I need to know about my Asian brothers and sisters, or I am not complete. And one of the next points is about overcoming dichotomous thinking. It's not us against them. Black Lives Matter it does mean all lives matter. We're just talking about the black right now. That's all. That's all. Let's just talk about the black right now. Is that all right? Because black is beautiful, as we used to say. Woo! As we used to say in the 60s. Black is beautiful. Because it's essence. It's all the colors. And so is white. I love them. Transcending dichotomous thinking. It's not black versus white. It's not it's black and white. It's black and white and yellow and red. And it goes round and round and round and round. Thank God for that. It's not men or women. It's men and women. And other. And everything in between. Talk about the Bible. People think Christians are ignorant people, and my sword's around here somewhere. It said he created him, and he created them. Plural. In every man there's a woman, and every woman was begotten of a man, and everything in between. Let's not be apologetic about that. My testimony as a black man, perceived black man, in Windsor, Ontario, 5th generation Afro-Canadian. I too was brutalized by the Windsor police, not as a hood, but as a firefighter, a veteran firefighter. At that time, 6 years on the job, coming home from playing basketball, coming home from watching my fellow firefighters put out a fire, being there just to make sure they don't need a little help, because that happens sometimes, they get overwhelmed. On my block, I see my nephews. In the intersection, they stopped me. Uncle Kimmy, these guys are telling us to go back to our own country. I said, it's okay, you know what you're about, just be cool. I park my car, I come back. They're having that conversation, and I said, hey guys, I don't know what you're talking about, but let's have this thing end in peace. One of my cousins lingered a bit, and now they were talking about football. Man, I remember you ain't, on and on. Police cars roll up. 1, 2. Right away, one of the officers comes out, says to my cousin, "Hey, I'm gonna arrest you." I'm looking kind of from a distance. What are you talking about? I'm just like, what's going on with this, right? Might have said, "Hey, don't choose sides, dude. Not a good idea." Starts cuffing him, hands him off to his buddy. My nephew was standing next to him. None of us criminals, 4 or 5 of us, knocks him head over heels because he asked, "Why are you choosing sides?" And yeah, at that point I did yell. I said a swear word. "What the F do you think you're doing?" From about 10 feet away. He walks over to me. I'm wearing my leather firefighter's cap, got my varsity jacket on. "Mind your own business." I said, "I am minding my business." That's my nephew. Pushes me till my hat falls off. "Go back to your own country." I said, "Sorry, what country are you talking about?" And I pushed him back, because I'm free like that too. I'm not under arrest. You're just a vigilante when you put your hands on me. I'm a man. I'm a good man. I pushed him back. "What country are you talking about? I've been here 5 generations. And he grabbed me. "Yeah, you're gonna treat me like a boy." And he swung. And you know what happened from there. I'm a man. I connected first. I tried to break his damn jaw. You hear me? I'm not playing. I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. Why would I do that as a firefighter? Because I had been arrested so many times and taken downtown and let out as a man, happy not to be arrested. But there came a day I said, never again. No more freebies. It's over. Because now you're not a police officer. And I'm not a boy. It's mano a mano. And that's what you see in America. Let's talk about looting. Let's talk about breaking windows. Are you kidding me right now?
Talk about it.
Did you hear Tamika say? That organizer? Say looting? Y'all been looting for 400 years. You've been looting us for 400 years. I looked up looting. It said it's an act of war. When you take something that don't belong to you and possess it as though you were own. You declared war on Africa when we were minding our business, stowed us, brought me here. And that wasn't enough. You looted my ancestors. Now you want to subjugate me? Really? Really? People, have a look. That's not looting. Bible says eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You know what that would look like? That would look like putting your knee on a cop. Moreover, a pig, because only a pig would do that. I know wonderful police officers. Some of my favorite people. Then and now, police officers. But I also know pigs. And they're on every force. And thank God there's a few. There are only a few. That uniform. And I'm not talking about that uniform. I'm talking about that pig. And I know cops. Cops, when they roll with pigs, are pigs. Cops, when they roll with police officers, are police officers. Upstanding and doing the job right. I'm saying that to say, please. And I'm closing. I'm saying that to say, please do not look upon the distraction of looting and setting fires. That's a symptom. Rather, that's the sign. The symptom is one of unpeace. It's not hatred. The people that are doing that, it's not hatred, but there is no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. And that's what looting is. And that's what burning is. No peace. All they had to do was show up like the protesters showed up. All they had was water bottles. They didn't have no weapons. They didn't have no batons. You're professionals. Why don't you meet the force with the equal force? Show up with your police signs. Show up with your water bottles. Show up with your equal weapons of war. The last thing I'm going to ask you to do with me as a sign of solidarity, because I love Fort McMurray. I won't tell you that story right now, but I was not planning to be here, especially not living here. But what I have come to realize is we really are Fort Mac strong, baby. Fort Mac strong, baby. I see you. So, I'm so happy I live in a country where the president, regardless of partisanship, took a knee. I'm so happy I live in a country that with a president, prime minister that tells it like it is. Wasn't afraid to say anti-black racism, because that's what we're dealing with now. And there is racism against all races. I recognize among my European brothers and sisters, you're not all one and the same. All of you come from different countries. And all of you deserve that same respect. So that knee was for you, and my red brothers and sisters, and my Asian brothers and sisters. We can't all kneel. I believe in equality. Some of us don't have that privilege. I have the privilege to be able to stand. I have the privilege to be able to kneel and stand back up. If you can't kneel, raise a hand. If you can't raise a hand, bend your head. If you can't do that, close your eyes. And I'm not going to ask us to do it for 8 minutes and 46 seconds for the taking of a life, but can we do that for 1 minute? Can we raise a hand? Can we take a kneel? Can we bend our head? Can we close our eyes? Rory, if you wouldn't mind just playing that music in solidarity for us. As I pass off the mic to the next speaker, thank you, Jesus. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bless 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 you. I'm here with the Mandela. I'm here with the Mandela Foundation. Get to know the Mandela Foundation. A young lady who gave her life, 12 years old, in a car accident. One of our former students. Her mother was a teacher at St. Paul's. And we are here to support this. And she was a little freedom fighter. And some of her little friends were here, and they were the first ones to talk to us about doing something here. I'm not saying they organized this, but wherever you're at, we know you, we feel you, and Mandela is here with us. Thank you.